What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Metalcore Nerds. I am your host, Sean Mott, and this is the Book of Boba Fett after show. And joining me, as always, Chris from the Geek Peak. What's up, my man?
Sean, my dude, here we are, week 3. It's getting spicy.
It is getting a little spicy, especially in the fandom. We'll get into that a little bit later. I have to say, I'm jealous of you living in the South in Florida, because in upstate New York, it's been below zero for the past 3 days, and that sucks a lot.
Not to rub it in, but it was 65 degrees today, and I was at the beach. Like, not actually at the beach, but I was at a beach bar, and we were hanging out, and we were chilling on the Intercoastal. It was a damn good weekend. It was my birthday weekend, so I had a lot of festivities.
Bring that up. It was your birthday a few days ago, so happy birthday to Chris. I know we all wish you a happy birthday on your actual birthday, but I wanted to bring it up on the show.
Thank you. I felt very loved. I'm gonna round out my 20s in the best way possible.
Hell yeah, I love to hear that. My birthday is in a few weeks, actually, but I'm
shit,
gonna be 32.
Dude, yes. All right, we got to do something. We got to do something for your B-Day. I don't know what we're gonna do. We live in different states, but we're gonna do something.
Jackass comes out the day after my birthday, so I kind of hope I see Jackass on my birthday. That'd be pretty dope.
Hell yeah. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I like the Jackass movies. I think they're fun. They're hilarious.
Fuck yeah.
They're stupid as hell. Yeah, they're stupid as hell. Like me and all my, I don't know if you did this, but me and all my high school friends, we used to play Jackass. And the one immediate vom drink that we concocted was orange juice with ketchup. You will 100% puke no matter what.
That sounds terrible.
Once the thickness of the ketchup hits the back of your throat, you're just like, I'm vomiting.
Instant puke.
Yeah, so if I ever get poisoned, I'm drinking orange juice and ketchup. Please continue.
I guess that's good to know if you do get poisoned.
Yeah,
God, I would never think of that in my life.
Fuck Epicac syrup. We're going to go with orange juice and ketchup.
I did videotape my friends doing the gallon challenge once. It was rough.
Oh, dude. Okay, that's one that I've never done, but I think that maybe I'll do that when I turn 30.
I don't know if that's a good idea, but I mean, more power to you, man. Live stream it or something, I guess.
For the clicks.
Yeah. For the views, baby, for the views. Before I wanted to get into what we've been watching this week, I did want to bring up, if you are new to Metalcore Nerds, if you're stumbling upon this because you saw Book of Boba Fett and you wanted to hear some people talk about Boba Fett and Star Wars in general, welcome to the Metalcore Nerds. This is the podcast that combines heavy music and pop culture, mostly bringing people from the heavy music world and talking about pop culture. But sometimes we talk about music as well. There's actually a Spotify playlist where I add all the new music I've been listening to, where you can find in the description. And wherever you're listening to, please subscribe and rate. And the reviews help more than anything, and it's free and it takes 2 seconds. And for any new reviews that people write actual reviews on Apple Podcasts, I will be reading them out loud. So if you do that, I will read them and shout you out, which will be very nice. For anything else, you can go to metalcorenerds.com where you can check out merch, all the links there, all of the social medias at Metalcore Nerds. It's very easy, very active on Twitter. So if you want to chat and talk, do it there. And if you want to join the Metalcore Nerds community, also links in the description. There is the Facebook group that talks a lot about recent news and memes and things like that. And then there's the Discord that talks more spoiler stuff. We talk about Book of Boba Fett spoilers, Peacemaker spoilers, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit, and new movies that have come out. We talk about the spoilers immediately there because I try to keep the spoilers off the Facebook group for a few weeks, or for shows like a week or so, just so people don't get spoiled immediately. Trying to be considerate.
Dude, gotta keep that bandwidth to a minimum.
No, maximum bandwidth.
I will. I'll second what Sean says. I'm a regular listener of Sean's pod. Metalcore Nerds is my jam. It actually is like my 2 favorite things combined, because I mean, Sean, I've told you this before, but I used to be in a metal band. I was the vocalist. Yeah. I was the screamer, and so I every single time you put on the intro when we're doing this episode, I'm like fucking bobbing my head over here. Like, I'm like, open this pussy up. Or it's open this. I mixed some words up there. Open this pit up, you pussy, is what I was trying to say. Anyways, yeah. So, but I'm also in your Discord, and it's really fun, like hearing from so many fans of stuff that's like coming out week to week. I am very active on all of your social media stuff, and yeah, so I am singing the praises. Obviously, I'm on this show because I fuck with it heavily, and I am honored to be on here.
You're the best, man. You're the best. I mean, you saying "open this pussy" definitely a lot. Anyone that's watching Peacemaker, we're not going to spoil anything just in case you haven't watched the first 3 episodes. But I will say, best intro ever, probably. And
Dude,
this show is the most bonkers shit ever, and I'm loving every second of it. Anything James Gunn, he's one of those directors now. It's like anything he does, I'm watching it. I don't even care.
Bro,
it's like him, Taika Waititi. Like,
yes, thank you for saying Taika.
Like, I actually just watched. This is a side note, but Jimmy Fallon has this show called "That's My Jam," and they do all these weird like music contests. And him and his girlfriend Rita Ora, who's like a well-known pop star,
yeah,
they were on it. And Taika on this episode, like even if you don't watch the show, just watch that episode to see Taika because he is pure Taika on it, and it's the best shit. I was like, I love this so much.
Taika was even awesome as a bad guy, which I would have never thought in Free Guy. I thought he did a really good job as a piece of shit bad guy.
Yeah, Taika's the best. He's the best. But yeah, James Gunn is just fully unleashed. Just it's a direct continuation of the Suicide Squad, and it's amazing. Like he did confirm that he's doing another DC series after this too. And I'm wondering if we'll know by the end of this, maybe, because I know they only gave critics the first 7 episodes and not the finale. And he didn't want to give the finale for spoiler reasons because he says a lot of shit happens in it. So, I mean, I'm down. There's so many Easter eggs to like the current and making other things canon in the DCU that's like fucking wild in this show. It is.
Dude.
It's straight up rated R TV show, and it is.
Yes. So I've only caught the first episode. I plan to watch the next 2 tonight. I've been savoring them because the show is freaking amazing. And I loved like the Wayne Foundation like little Easter egg that was dropped in episode 1.
Cool.
Like there's just there's so much to this show, and simultaneously, while it's expanding the DC universe, it is absolutely hilarious. Like
so funny.
I'm like, thank God that DC has finally brought some creative minds in that like I want to see more stuff from DC because of this show and because of the Suicide Squad. Like I liked the Snyder Cut, but for me, it was like so dark and gritty, and maybe it's just because I'm not like a huge DC comic fan guy. Right. This is like the kind of stuff that I want to see more of in general. So I fucking love it. It's hilarious. John Cena is an absolute star in this show. I cannot overstate how awesome this is. That one jump cut, and this is like a very, very minor spoiler, but the one jump cut when John Cena is having sex with that lady with the 80s haircut, like just out of nowhere, I just was cackling because I'm like, oh, okay, they went there.
Yeah, this, like I said, this is hard rated R. It is a wild show. And episode 3 is pretty crazy and awesome. And wait until you see more of Vigilante because he is fucking insane, dude. He is literally insane in the best way. Oh my God.
I'm assuming Vigilante is the server from episode 1, but it hasn't been revealed to me yet. But
yeah, you'll see.
Yeah, I already can tell the tone of this show. Like it has every opportunity to be my favorite show this year, and probably will carry through all the way to the end of this year because. Like
it's so good, dude.
It's fucking. As soon as I watched the end of episode 1, I was like, "Damn, I might have to start doing like week by week recaps of this show because it's so fucking awesome."
I'm definitely going to be doing because I think it ends 1 week after Boba, so I think I'm going to do a series review with someone right after Boba ends, just because the show is the fucking best.
That'll be plugged in my ears.
Yes, thank you. And on the other side of Marvel, we're getting a Moon Knight trailer the day this episode drops, and the rumor is that we're going to get it March 30th. So there's only going to be like a month between the end of Boba and Moon Knight, which I know a lot of people were like, "Oh man, we have to wait till May to get some more MCU." Well, nope, getting Moon Knight, baby.
Dude, between
I guess we'll know for
DC,
sure tomorrow, but yeah,
between DC, Star Wars, and Marvel, we're sitting pretty. I mean, like,
this year is nuts, dude.
and not even to mention, obviously we got Scream, which we're going to talk about shortly, but like, we are blessed right now. Like, this is an insane like span of like December. I feel like things kind of slowed down in releases, which I was appreciative of. Like, we had the Hawkeye finale, but that was really like
And Spider-Man.
yeah. Oh yeah. How could I forget? Oh my God. The best movie of the year. Yeah. Okay. My bad.
This little indie movie, Spider-Man: No Way Home. It did a few dollars in the box office.
Yeah. Peacemaker though is so fun. This is from the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but the scene where he's hugging Eagly is,
shout out Eagly.
That's gonna live rent free in my head for a long time.
Yeah, Eagly is the fucking best. This show is the best. It's so fucking great. Like, I cannot recommend it enough. I can't wait till you watch the second 2 episodes because they're so great. There's one thing I want to say, because now that Moon Knight's coming out, I really hope that this whole weird gatekeeping thing stops in comic book shit. Because I've seen a lot of people like, oh, no one knew who Moon Knight was, a year ago. Now everyone's stoked for Moon Knight. I mean, here's the thing. If you're acting like you know everything about Moon Knight, I don't. I've read a volume of Moon Knight, and I know the general premise of Moon Knight. I know, the surface level shit of Moon Knight. But even if you don't, you can be stoked for a new thing to learn about it. Why ruin someone's enjoyment of learning stuff just to be like, oh, you didn't know Moon Knight was a year ago? I mean, isn't that dope? Isn't that dope that people now know what Moon Knight is and are stoked about it?
It's literally like, oh, this character looks really badass because he is really badass. Oh, I don't like that you like that. Okay, well, you know what? Don't talk to me. Go away.
Someone did a meme, and it was like a year ago. It was Thanos. I don't even know who you are, and it was Moon Knight. And then the next thing was like, I'm so stoked for Moon Knight. And it's like, you cannot know what something is and be stoked about it. Like, that's how you learn about things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think I'm feeling about Jordan Peele's next movie? Nope. What the hell? Yeah, like, it's a cloud with a bunch of freaking lights or like some kind of string hanging out of it. Yeah, I'm hyped for that. Are you kidding me? Okay. Like, that just means that you can at least be open to something that's awesome. And I feel like going back to what you just said, Ant-Man. Who the fuck knew anything about Ant-Man? Nobody knew anything about Ant-Man. Same with Black Panther. Like, Black Panther was a more obscure MCU character, and both of those guys are two of the best characters in Marvel right now.
Almost everything in the MCU were like B and C list characters. Like, Iron Man is not an A list. He is now.
Yeah.
The MCU made him an A list character. Like, he obviously, like, the Avengers weren't even like an A list team. This was all super. Like, unless you were a super comic nerd, you knew shit about these characters. I didn't know shit about Iron Man when I saw Iron Man 2008. I was like, cool, superhero movie. I'll go see it.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about Daredevil when I saw Ben Affleck play Daredevil, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, I mean, that movie has its issues, but I was like, this character is fucking awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But what else have you been watching other than Peacemaker before we get into a little Scream non-spoilery talk? Oh no, we lost Chris. I guess I'll talk a little bit about what I've been watching. So I will be on the Wheel of Horror podcast this Friday talking about The Unforgivable, which is a Sandra Bullock movie. It's on Netflix. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can listen to that episode. It drops on Friday on their feed. They are very, very awesome dudes and really cool to talk to. So I'm super excited for you guys to check that out. It was very, very cool to chat with them and to watch that movie. It's a solid movie. I would recommend it, but you can hear more of my in-depth thoughts about it on that podcast. And really, I've just been watching The Leftovers, watched Peacemaker, and I was trying to think of what else. Oh, before I saw Scream, I saw The King's Man on Saturday as well. And it was very okay. Are you back, Chris? I think you're back. Yeah,
I
back.
think so. Can you hear me?
You're
Okay.
back. You're back. You're back. I was just saying other things I've watched, and I plugged the podcast I'm going to be on next Friday about the Unforgivable. But I did see The King's Man yesterday before I saw Scream too, and it was very not great.
Yeah, like I haven't. I've actually never seen any of the Kingsman movies. And I've heard that the first two are actually fantastic and super fun.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to watch them. Something like, and maybe I don't want to sound jaded here because like, obviously as podcasters, we're like trying to stay up on all the most recent stuff. But like, I'm starting to see a trend where it's like, if something gets delayed a lot, I'm really worried about whether or not it's going to be good in the first place. And because that movie has been delayed now, like,
a lot of times.
2 years almost, a year and a half.
Yeah.
But that being said, I am going to watch the first two and I will watch the third as well, just because, like, why not,
Yeah, the first two are awesome. This one is a prequel, so it's like in the same world, but it doesn't have any of the same characters. And it just, to kind of break down the first two, it's like funny and fun, a lot of fun, but the action is really brutal. They're both rated R. It's really brutal, and it does have like very serious moments. And this like prequel is just super serious the whole time. Kind of, there's like fun moments, and the action is cool, but the whole like motivations of the characters in the movie just don't really add up and aren't very interesting at all. So you're not even really having fun watching it. You're just like, why? The whole time. It's really weird because I went in being like, Djimon Hounsou's in it, Ray Fiennes is in it. And you're like, man, this cast is pretty stacked. It just like didn't hit at all. There's like a big shocking twist in the middle of it that I didn't see coming, but other than that, you're just kind of like, okay, cool.
Shout out to Josh for saying that guy's name wrong every time and calling him Digimon Hansu.
Dude, that'd be dying, bro. I was like, dude, Digimon, what?
I had to like ask him, and he's like, yeah, no, that's definitely his name. And then everybody's like, no, that's not how you say it.
Definitely not it, man. What do you mean? But yeah, what else have you been watching? I pretty much went through everything I watched this week.
Yeah. So also, just for the listeners out there, I was playing footsie with my microphone cord and unplugged it from the back of my computer. So then I was like, oh shit. Yeah. So this past week, I got really, really into Euphoria on HBO Max. I had a weird week. I was staying up until 6 a.m. every day for no reason. Like, there was nothing motivating me outside of, like, I can't sleep. So I just started watching Euphoria, and I finished the entire first season and the 2 specials that they had.
Damn.
Fantastic show. I will say that the Christmas special based around the character Rue, which is Zendaya's character, that might be some of the best writing of any TV show I've ever seen. Like the conversation that they have about addiction and like how it affects other people is fucking top tier. Even if you don't watch that show, I would highly recommend at least watching that episode. It's an hour of just like, you're just sitting there shook.
Damn.
Like, and I'll say, like, I had tried Euphoria before and it kind of put me off a little bit because like I'm from like a small, like little sleepy beach town in Florida. I grew up in Ormond Beach, and I'm like, I was not taking Molly when I was 16 years old. I was not fucking my best friend's girlfriend when I was 16 years old. Like this shit was, like this was like very foreign to me. And I was like, God, I don't want to have children. Like I don't want them wrapped up in all this shit. But it's so freaking good. The cinematography is also something that's like a big standout to me, like how they filmed that show. All the shots are insanely beautiful, and it really is just a fantastic show. It's not for everybody. Like I'll put that out there right now. Like I would not recommend this to all of my friends, but like if you're into artsy, cinematography and incredible writing that's like almost at points too real. Like it's disturbing to watch because you're like, God, I don't want to think about this out in the world because this is really fucked. But they do a really good job. So I've been watching that simultaneously. Obviously, we're going to talk about Scream. I just saw that on my birthday on Thursday night. And then independent of that, I watched a Netflix film called Sweet Girl with Jason Momoa. And and my mom and dad had recommended it to me. And they're like very much like, you know, cable TV watchers. Like they have all the streaming services. That's what they watch. But like, that's more their style is like the like less gratuitous, you know, kind of content. And so they had recommended it to me probably 5 months back. And I just decided finally to watch it. And I watched it recently. And that movie was actually fantastic. It's about, so Jason Momoa's wife gets cancer. And this all happens in the first like 15 minutes. So, you know, no spoilers, just giving you a background. But his wife has cancer. He has a teenage daughter. She's maybe 14, 15. And they are going to start giving her this new medicine. It's a generic brand, like generic, you know, medicine to offset the cost for her cancer treatment. Well, the big pharma, big corp that does the, you know, name brand medicines pay the company that's doing the generic medicine to not release it to the public. So effectively, like she dies because she can't have the medicine. They can't afford it. And so Jason Momoa, calls in on like a CNN or MSNBC broadcast and kind of confronts the CEO. He says like, and again, from the trailer, if my wife dies, that's your death wish that's signed. It's like very Taken, you know? And then the movie progresses and you find out that there's like political collusion. Like there's, you know, lawmakers who are involved in the decision making and so on and so forth to restrict this medicine. And it's good. Like I actually really liked it. Especially because I feel like Netflix can be very hit or miss on their films.
Yes.
And this movie in particular, I thought was like very well done. It was good. I would recommend it to people. It's kind of out of my normal wheelhouse of what I like to watch personally, but I still really, really enjoyed it. So I would highly recommend it. I will say that probably midway through the third act, there is a mind-boggling, I don't even want to use the word twist, but it kind of is a twist. There's a huge, huge plot shift in the third act, which I had no idea coming. Because like the first two acts, I was like, okay, this movie's really good. I'm enjoying this. Like I'm captivated. But I kind of saw where it was heading. And then act 3 comes along and I was like, oh, wow. Like they went for this here. So I can appreciate the risks that they took in it. And overall, I would definitely recommend watching it.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. I'll have to check that out. I think I remember hearing about it, but it's hard with a lot of those Netflix movies because you're like, do I want to watch this?
Yeah, I mean they're so hit or miss. Like there's some that are like fantastic. Like you were talking about Unforgivable, right? That's the one with Sandra Bullock. Yeah, so like I want to see that. And then there was that one with Jake Gyllenhaal that they did where he's like the 911 operator. I heard that's good. So like I feel like Netflix is kind of like leaning more into trying to put out good films, because like there was one that they did with Jake Gyllenhaal that was he was like an art curator. Shit. What's it called?
Oh, is that like Velvet Buzzsaw or something?
Velvet Buzzsaw. And I liked that movie, but it was not good. Like it wasn't like a great film.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
I just enjoyed it because it was just crazy. And I think a lot of the times they'll get like a really great concept and they'll get good actors and stuff, but the writing is subpar. But I will say, like for Sweet Girl, it was like I liked it. I mean, for me to actually enjoy something that's not in the genres that I normally watch, I feel like it has to be pretty put together. So there's some scenes where you're like, minor spoilers, but there's like a scene where the daughter of Jason Momoa jumps off the top of the Pittsburgh Steelers stadium into the river and then like keeps on keeping on. And I'm like, First of all, you just jumped like 7 stories into water, and secondly, like that river, you got hypothermia fucking immediately. But yeah, no, overall, like, you suspend some disbelief, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, let's talk. Let's give our non-spoiler thoughts on Scream. So I just saw this yesterday. You saw it a few days ago.
Yep.
I loved this movie. Like, legitimately loved this movie. I know all of us, like in the Goon Platoon and pretty much any Scream fan, kind of had high hopes for it because I don't think anyone was asking for another Scream movie. But once the trailer came out, everyone was like, "Oh, this looks pretty dope." And I feel like they do a really good job with the new cast because it's the first one that's not really solely centered around Sydney.
Yes.
And having this new cast really be the forefront of the movie while using the legacy characters in a good way, I thought was really awesome. The meta commentary it has in this movie is one of the best they've had in the whole series. The kills are fucking brutal. Like the opening scene is like wild, dude.
Yeah.
And
I think the opening was my favorite part.
The opening was really, really good.
Yeah.
And the twists are, just like any Scream movie, no one is safe. Main characters die in Scream all the time. And yeah, it got a little emotional in the middle, which was kind of surprising because I don't think a Scream movie's ever made me emotional ever. Which I love. Scream franchise is my favorite horror franchise. Not that I'm like this big horror buff, but I enjoy horror movies quite a bit. And Scream is my favorite horror franchise, just the way they do things. And there's not a Scream movie I don't like. I like all of them to a certain extent. I agree. And I think this one's right up there. It's like probably my number 2. I don't think anything will ever top the first one. It's like lightning in a bottle. It was like a revolutionary film. But I mean, I think any given day I could put this over 2, which I love. I think 2 is a really, really good sequel. And 3 and 4 I like, but they're you can kind of switch those any day of the week because they're kind of the same movie anyway. Like really.
Yeah, like I think my personal ranking is like 2 and 4 for me kind of go back and forth because I actually thought 4 was great. Like I thought I really enjoyed 4. Like 3, my biggest issue was like the motivation of the killer and the fact that like I didn't like the out of left field aspect of who the killer was as much. But 2 is so fun because they're in college and like it's a
the
great
twist is really good.
Yeah, and it's a great evolution of the franchise in general. And I think I'm inclined to agree with you. I think Scream is probably the best horror series, movie by movie. Like, consistent. Yeah, it really is incredibly consistent. I mean, like you can say what you want about 3, but the stuff that happens in it is fantastic. Like you may not like the ending.
Sick.
Yes, my favorite opening scene though is definitely the beginning of 4 with all the stab movies.
That one is so good, dude.
I am obsessed. Like the only one that even holds a candle to it is obviously Drew Barrymore in Scream 1, which like that's, that set the tone for an entire generation of horror movies. So it's kind of even hard to compare it. But this newest one, I loved how meta it was. Like they really went in on it being meta. I loved and I appreciated their explanation of the requel idea, because it's true. Like, look at what's happening with Halloween right now. They're readjusting, doing a course correction in order to bring new life to some of these franchises that have been maybe not dead, but they needed a reboot without having to start back from the beginning again. Yeah, because like if you're going to see Halloween, like who Michael Myers is, and if you don't, then you can go back and watch the '78 version.
Yeah, and then easily dive into the new ones.
Yeah,
and I did like the requel thing too. It was very awesome, especially in horror. That's like the most common thing nowadays is that they don't remake it anymore. They just totally retcon half the movies and continue it from the first one or something.
Yep,
it seems to be the new popular thing because like reboot. Like, I love a good reboot. Like the Creed movies, an amazing continuation.
Yes.
Of the Rocky movies. Cobra Kai, an amazing continuation of the Karate Kid movies. Stuff like that has been amazing. And even this, it's not even like it is a reboot because the last movie was over a decade ago. But it's not redoing anything. It didn't retcon anything. It's a continuation of the story. It's just years later. You know?
I noticed how you left Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom off that list.
Yeah, that is too. I don't mind those movies. It's just I was never like, I like Jurassic Park, the first one, but I'm not like Jurassic Park diehard. Like I know some people are. There's nothing like I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a Jurassic Park fiend like some people are. I like them a lot, and I even like the newer. Actually, I have not watched the second one in entirety.
You don't need
I like
to.
Jurassic World. It was fine.
Jurassic World was a good movie, like in terms of continuations, and like, talking about horror. Jurassic Park was my introduction to horror movies. The scene with the raptors, dude, that's.
I remember that scene from when I was a child. Like it's like embedded in my brain. You know.
I literally watched that movie from behind the couch at my house. My parents were watching it. I had snuck in. I was probably 4 or 5, and I was literally hiding behind the couch watching, like standing. They didn't even know I was there. And yeah, so Jurassic Park has a very special place in my heart. Sorry to go all tangential on Jurassic Park.
Dude. No problem at all. It's funny that you mentioned like watching like a horror-esque stuff when you were that young, because I watched Stephen King movies with my mom when I was that young. Like I watched Pet Sematary and The Shining when I was 5 years old. And I thought I was stupid, and those didn't freak me out, which is weird. But when I was 9 years old, my parents rented from Blockbuster Blair Witch Project, and I was like, I want to watch this movie. And my mom was like, you should not watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I want to. Okay. And I watched it. In my house, my backyards were woods.
Oh,
so
no,
that movie fucked me up when I was
you were living the Blair Witch Project.
Dude, Stripe, I would not go in the woods for like a year. I was like, nope, pass, big pass for me.
Yep.
It's like
the first horror movie that ever did that to me was definitely Jaws. Like, because obviously I live in Florida, and so like. Like the beaches obviously were a fucking nightmare zone for me. And then like it got to the point where like I was scared. And then I saw Deep Blue Sea a couple years later, and I was like legitimately afraid to even go in swimming pools, because I'm like, these fucking sharks know what the fuck to do, man. Like they know. I don't know how they got in here, but so I'd be by myself as a child in a swimming pool, and like I'd be swimming, especially night swims. They always fucked with me, and I would be like, I am literally going to get eaten by a shark that I can't see. So,
my god, dude, that's incredible. So we both love Scream. So go watch Scream.
Yes, highly recommend.
It was great, an amazing start to a stacked year of movies. I'm interested to see if it'll stay in my top 10, because I really loved it.
I really liked it too.
There's a lot of good movies coming out this year,
dude, for real. And the movie had stakes, which I really appreciated. And I loved all the callbacks to the original. Like a lot of the characters are tied to original characters, which really
I thought
sick.
That was super smart. How they did all that stuff.
You can tell that there was a lot of like time and thought put into like making this movie be cohesive to the rest of the trilogy, or quadrilogy, I guess. But so I will ask you this: who is your favorite character?
Maybe Tara, but I really did like Sam, even though I've seen some people shitting on Sam, saying her acting was bad. And I was like, I don't know what movie you watched, but I thought Tara, the sister, did an amazing job in this movie, and I thought Richie was a very interesting character. Jack. Quaid's character.
Dude, yeah, Richie. He was I feel like I related to Richie very much as I was watching that film. I was like, yeah, this would be me. Like I would get. Again, no spoilers. We're not spoiling anything, but I would get murdered being a dipshit. Like, I didn't see that movie. Fuck. My favorite though. My favorite was definitely. I'm looking up her name, Mindy. She's from
Yellow Jackets.
Yes, she is from Yellow Jackets. Holy shit.
Yeah,
oh my god. Oh, and we got another yellow. Yes. This is the year of Yellow Jackets, apparently, dude. Bro.
So that actress who was in Scream who's also in Yellow Jackets. It's funny because I've been watching The Leftovers, and she showed up in season 2. She's Regina King's daughter, and I was like, she's in everything. And I blew Josh from Foreigners by Nerds mind because I was like, she played Finn in the Miles Morales game, Miles' best friend, and he's like, holy fuck, that's where I saw her from. And I was
oh my god, dude. You just blew my mind with that.
Yeah, it's like her face and everything. It's like her likeness. It's really cool with those kind of movies is they like The Last of Us and stuff. They straight up act for those games. Like they're in mocap suits and like act shit out as they're doing the voices and stuff. Yep. So usually all like the game movement in cutscenes, it's like literally them acting it, which is super dope. They do that stuff.
It brings that like extra emotional depth to these games. It's like I feel like games now are straight up like movies that you're playing. And like anytime I try to plug someone into gaming like that has not ever been a gamer, I'm like, listen, you like HBO? Okay. Well, this is like the best HBO show you've ever seen, but you're literally making the decisions. Yeah.
That's what got me back into playing video games because I played the Spider-Man game and then I started playing Last of Us and stuff. And I was like, these stories are unbelievable. Like, I was like, I never would imagined a video game would have this much depth and character and story. It's incredible.
It just hits different. It really does. Especially when you've been like, you're fighting people for a long period of time, you like 20, 30 hours, and then your character has something really traumatic or dramatic happen, and you're like, oh my God, like what?
The Last of Us Part 2 is the most draining experience I've had in my life with any form of media. Movies, anything. Like it is heavy. It's like the heaviest thing I've experienced, not in real life.
You have to take breaks to mourn.
I did, dude. This one time I played for like 8 hours in a row, and I stopped, and I was like,
that literally is. You just have to like take a breath after that game, man.
It's nutty, dude. But let's get into some fucking Star Wars. Let's talk some Boba. Big Dick Boba, or lack thereof, Big Dick Boba, maybe in this episode.
BDB.
as Chris was saying before we were recording, he's saying this might be one of the most divisive episodes that's come out so far.
100%.
I would agree with him, but I did want to bring up. So there was a few episodes in both Mando seasons that happened, and that's the great thing about weekly television is that episode 4 could be so fucking badass that people forget about this episode entirely. There was the episode with the spiders in season 2 that everyone hated.
I loved that one. That's like my second favorite of the entire season. Third favorite.
That season was stacked, so it's kind of hard to put it up with Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano.
Exactly. Those are both the two that are ahead of it. But yeah, that was like one of my favorite episodes of the entire show.
And then in season 1, there was the episode with the city that, or like the tribe that she helps or whatever, like that small town that people were like, this episode sucks. And they were
with
both
the ATST.
Yes. And they were both early in the season. People were like, man, this episode sucks. And then next week, something badass happened and they forgot about it. Like, so if I had to bet money, I would say next week's episode is going to be fucking dope. So, and we've talked about it. This show's going to kind of been shit on. We've talked about it in both episode 1 and 2. I'm still really enjoying this episode, but this is the first episode where I watched it and I had legitimate problems with it.
Yeah.
And not even the whole episode. It just felt very conjointed and some things were very out of place. And we'll get into more as we go through the recap. But I can totally understand this being a divisive episode or people being like, I don't know if I'm into this show kind of thing. I get it, but it's a weekly television show, guys. You don't. It's very hard to watch every episode and be like, man, that episode was the greatest episode ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You gotta stick it out. Like the story is still being rolled out right now, and like exactly. I guarantee you, there's aspects of this episode that are going to come into play that are going to be super crucial to later on in the series.
100%. My favorite parts about this episode, other than some like really cool cameos and some really wild lines of dialogue that just kind of get say nonchalantly, is that it felt like how I thought it was going to from the trailer. This felt like Sopranos in space. Like most of this episode. And I loved that. I thought it was super dope. The episode kicks off with the 8D8 droid explaining the families of Tatooine after Jabba died. And it's funny because they called it like the yacht, the tragedy or something like that. it's funny seeing it from the other side. As it was a big heroic moment in Return of the Jedi, but from the other side, it was like this big tragedy. And he was explaining that Tatooine is now split into like 3 families that run the land: the Trandoshans, the Aqualish, and the Clitonians. So it was cool to kind of see that laid out. And even Bib Fortuna wasn't really in charge of everything. He just had these kind of like faulty alliances that made him seem like he was in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this water salesman, Lortha Peel, who's played by Stephen Root. You've probably seen him in many of things, including Office Space, the stapler guy.
Yep.
That's funny. In a bunch of recaps I saw, a bunch of the YouTube channels would put in the stapler scene, which I thought was fucking hilarious. And he's complaining about the street gang that is interfering with his business, a gang who he refers to as cyborgs that are enhanced by like machine parts, which is funny that he like looked down on it. He was like disgusted because Fennec has a fucking machine abdomen. That's literally how she's living. And,
yep.
Luke Skywalker had a robotic hand, blah, blah, blah. It's like a very normal thing in Star Wars lore. But maybe he was referring to people who did it on purpose before they need it like for like a medical reason. Who knows, But then we see this kind of like cyberpunk gang that is led by Sophie Thatcher, who is in Yellow Jackets. Go watch
Yellow Jackets.
Fucking dope. But yeah, there's like super cyberpunk gang. Like she has like a robot arm, she has a robot eye. Blah blah. It's super cool.
By the way, they're all dressed like they're characters out of the Cowboy Bebop live action show.
Which that adds up to. I will say their colorful mopeds, especially later on when we get to the chase scene, are so out of place in this show to me. Like they were so distracting.
I really liked them. Although we haven't seen anything else even remotely close to this, because like Star Wars, especially on Tatooine, it's very much like you don't have dirty, shiny things, grungy. Right? Like,
I mean, it looked like something that you would see in Coruscant, like in Attack the Clones. Like it looked like something that would belong in Coruscant.
It's funny you say that because like the only other ship that we've seen that looks as nice on Tatooine ever was Senator Amidala's Silver Surfer ship, and so like it definitely stands out, and I will say it is out of place, like because it's like you're on Tatooine, you're on a dirt ball, like the top fucking industry here is farming water, like what the fuck. Like
yes, so Boba goes, the Lortha Peel is all mad about it, so Boba goes and confronts them, but actually hires them to be a part of his squad, and then he tells Lortha Peel to lower his prices on his water, which was, I like that, and this is what I like. Yeah. This was a big dick Boba move. All right.
Yep.
In my mind, very crime boss to bring
very crime boss,
employ them, and be like, lower your fucking prices, bro. Chill the fuck out. So I like that. That was cool. Going well so far, and then we get to another flashback to. It shows off. I need more fucking Camino because they keep showing these little clips of Camino, and I don't think they're going to show a lot of it, which is fine. But they keep showing more Camino, and I was like, I want more. So we see this little shot of Camino, and then we go back to the Tusken tribe. Boba is leaving on a bantha to Mos Eisley to go meet with the leader of the Pikes. We do see the Stormtrooper helmets from the Mando episode that we saw in Mos Eisley, and then we also see the what's her face's
the mechanic,
the curly haired mechanic with her droids walk by too, which I thought was a really, really cool touch because of course it would make sense. This is where she's from. And then
wait, can I jump in for a second? I wanted to say like, what are your thoughts on these Camino flashbacks? Because like they keep doing them, and I don't know what purpose they serve outside of people who haven't seen Attack of the Clones.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing of trauma for him because they do explore it in Clone Wars a little bit, like what he does after, how he becomes like a kind of like a famous bounty hunter as a child, which is crazy. It's like he's a bad motherfucker in that shit too. Like he does some shit in the Clone Wars, which I would definitely, if anyone hasn't seen that, I would highly recommend. You can just search Clone Wars Boba Fett episodes and they'll come up. They're kind of all strung together anyway, so it's pretty easy. And so I don't know if they're going to show us any more because I don't really know what else there is to show us, because you see him die in Attack of the Clones, Jango, and I don't know, maybe it's just kind of it's all these kind of back to tank moments are kind of all moments of trauma. So maybe it's like him seeing his dad always leave or something. I don't know.
Well, like that's kind of what I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, do you think that we're going to see some stuff that was not featured in the film?
I would hope so. Like I'm saying I want more Camino shit.
Yeah, like it would be cool to get a little more backstory from Boba on Camino, not just solely related to, okay, my dad's leaving to go on a mission or my dad died.
Yeah, like I would really like to see that, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I am not expecting it, but I want it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
I'm with you.
I'm not going to be let down if we don't see like an extended Camino clip, but I want it. I really do want it. I'm just fascinated with that time period, especially with that character and all the stuff with Fennec and the Bad Batch and Omega. Like, you know, we've talked a lot about how there's kind of stuff that's sort of continued from the Bad Batch in this series, which makes sense. Dave Filoni is fully a part of it. It just came out before this. Why wouldn't it? Even though it's different time periods, it makes sense. All this shit's connected.
Close enough.
Yeah. It's like 20 years difference or something like that. I don't know. But then as Boba's talking to the leader of the Pikes, he brings up that there's another group already protecting this land that he said that Boba and the Tuskens were going to do. They're called the Kintan Striders, which Kintan is the planet that the Nikta species are from. So it kind of makes sense that that's what they're called. And
those of you who might be wondering, Nikta, that's the biker gang that he stole the speeders from in the last episode with the horns on their face. In
the people we saw beating up the moisture farmers in episode 1.
The Assassin's Creed logo people.
Fuck. Wow. I never thought of that till now. Wow. And Boba's pretty much like, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. We'll be the ones collecting the money from you. All right.
Oh, yeah.
But then he goes back to the camp and he sees that the whole fucking tribe has been fucking Anakin in this motherfucker. It's really fucked up because when I saw them all like dead, I was like, man, Anakin would be stoked. That's what I thought. Am I wrong?
It's so true. Anakin would be like, not just the men, but the women and the children.
It's like, my fucking man, you did the shit, bro. I get it. But anyway, Boba, this is actually a very touching moment. You see Boba like start to cry. We don't see the badass female Tusken or the child Tusken. So I have hopes that they're still alive.
Well, okay, so I did see, I don't know if this is 100% true, but the branch of the gaffy stick the gaffy stick that he holds at the end, I was reading, apparently is the child's.
Yes, but he like gifted it to him, and the child had like a different one in like the last episode or something. I mean, he could be dead, and they didn't want to show a child dead and burned or something. I don't know. But I guess we'll see. Because that's why I was like shocked that the tribe got massacred. And then
the music too.
Oh, dude, the score was perfect for this.
Yeah, it felt like the end of a. Sorry,
logo. We saw the Assassin's Creed logo in the camp, kind of saying that the Niktas did it, but who knows if that's actually true. This whole series has kind of been like misdirecting Boba, like, oh no, they did it. Oh no, they did it. Oh, they did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I liked how this scene played out. It felt very much like the end of like a war movie with the music, the score, and everything. Like there was definitely like it was a very somber moment, which we haven't really gotten that in Boba Fett so far. So I liked this tonally a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was a really well done scene and moment for Boba, and I'm interested to see where it goes from there in the flashback to this. You know, does he search out the people that might still be alive? Does he kind of meet up with some other Tusken tribes? Because we were theorizing that he's trying to take over the crime syndicate in Tatooine to bring in the Tuskens. And now it seems like probably not the case. It was funny because I was talking to Nick from F and Nerds. They just dropped their episodes or their like thoughts on 1 and 2 of Boba, and they kept going, yeah, Boba's got this Tusken army at his disposal in the present. And every time I heard it, I was like, and I messaged Nick. I was like, bro, every time he said that, I was like, because it was before they saw episode 3.
Not anymore.
Like, I I don't know about that. I was like, I got really bummed every time you guys said it. I was like, but please go check out that episode too. F Nerds fucking rules. They geek out over the cinematography and stuff like that, which they're very, very good at breaking down that kind of knowledge. And then we get to the worst wake up call ever, where Black Krrsantan rips Boba out of the fucking Bacta tank, which I was like, oh shit, here we go.
I like pictured at the beginning of Eminem's, I think it's the 8 Mile. I think it's 8 Mile. The Lose Yourself flash back to reality. You know what I'm saying? Like yanks him out, and it's just like, well, where the fuck is everyone else who works for Boba Fett? How the fuck did this gigantic black Wookiee get in here with no one knowing?
Yeah,
I was like,
dude.
The whole time he's fighting him, I'm like, where is Fennec Shand? Like, where?
How did you miss this 8-foot tall motherfucker breaking?
Not the most secure.
Yeah, so Black Krrsantan almost kills Boba Fett. He's like crushing his fucking bones, but then Fennec, the street gang, and the Gamorreans come to the rescue, and it takes literally all of them to trap Black Krrsantan in the Rancor pit, which was this fight scene was dope. This was another highlight of the episode for sure.
Dude, Black Krrsantan pulls out laser brass knuckles.
That's just hit part of his hand.
Is it? Oh my god, I love that. That is so sick. When he had that, I was like, okay, well, this. Let me just tell you, this man is not to be fucked with.
No, like I said, it took like 10 people to trap him, not even kill him.
He mauled that one Gamorrean. He was literally eating him. I was like, dude.
He got some Gamorrean dinner for sure.
Yep. Roasted pig.
Yeah, dude. He fucked some motherfuckers up. And even when he's hanging on to the door when Fennec tries to trap him, it takes her throwing a knife into his hand that's still stuck in his hand when he falls down. And he's just like, whatever. Like this Wookiee is no joke, dude. He is the real fucking deal. And that's what I loved. It's like they didn't kill him off, but they made him look like, yo, this dude is a fucking badass.
And it gave us an opportunity
over here.
Dude, for real. And then like it also gave us a nice opportunity to see the street gang in like their prime, because like everybody kind of has their own specialty, and like one of them had like a laser whip. Like they had some really, really cool tech, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm happy that we're getting to see these guys like actually, you know, go ham, because like up to this point, we kind of were like, why is Boba recruiting these people? They're like a bunch of teenagers, but like you really see their lethality in this fight.
Sure. Yeah, which was really, really cool. So they trap him. Fennec and Boba are eating some trappings, you know, just fucking chilling, eating some food, trying to decide what's next. And then they find out that the Hutts have come to Jabba's palace. So they go outside and meet the Hutts, and they, for some reason, they're like, hey, we sent Black Krrsantan to kill you. Sorry. Sorry. And then he's basically like, I'll give you back Black Krrsantan if you renounce Jabba's claim to the throne, basically, which they don't do. They're just like, we're leaving to go back to Hutta. You should too. Yeah. Again, pointing out that there's a bigger play at here, which I think still probably is Crimson Dawn, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about how this episode ends, but it still kind of points that there's a bigger picture to all of this. And we don't really know if the Hutts are kind of involved in it, or if they are actually just scared of whoever's at the top. That remains to be seen. But they do gift him a Rancor that is being tamed by Danny fucking Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Once he came up, I was like, what the fuck? Which makes sense because Robert Rodriguez, but still, I was not expecting that.
Well, like, I didn't think that they were going to feature him as heavily as they did. And so, like, when he walked on screen while they were still outside of Jabba's palace, I was like, Boba's palace. I was like, yo, Danny Trejo is in fucking Boba Fett. Let's go.
Yeah, so dope, dude. And, so basically, the Hutts are like, sell Black Krrsantan back to the Gladiators, but Boba lets him go, which I think was a smart move. Again, this whole respect thing. But I will guess, because the episode ends that there's going to be a big war. I do think that Black Krrsantan will come in and help Boba at the end.
100%.
If I had to guess, and
Dude, I think that Black Krrsantan is 100% going to. I mean, Wookiees, from what we've learned so far in just like their lore, they're very much like honor bound, right? So like,
yeah,
Krrsantan is 100% in debt to Boba right now, even if he didn't say anything. So I'm very interested to see them bring him back. And I, going back to like Boba Fett, when Fennec and him are having the conversation about what the next step is before the twins show up, Fennec is like, I think we need to wait and see what happens. And Boba's like, we should strike back, which is a little bit different than like his disposition throughout the entire rest of the show so far. So thankfully he didn't strike back beforehand, because what do they give him? They give him a fucking Rancor.
Yeah. And then they're pretty much take the Rancor into the pit, and Boba's talking with Danny Trejo's character, and he pretty much reveals that he's depressed and that he's got blinders on because the first person that he sees, they imprint on them. And he talks with the craziest line that's just said so nonchalantly, that the witches of Dathomir used to ride them, which crazy. So that's where Darth Maul is from. That's where Savage is from.
Yep.
The witches of Dathomir, they've kind of been turned into like the Night Sisters and stuff like that we've seen in Clone Wars, and we've also seen in the Fallen Order video game. You go to fucking Dathomir in that game.
Yep.
So if you
Asajj Ventress too.
Oh yeah, you see that because she goes back after she gets expelled from the Empire or whatever the fuck, and she actually helps Savage and Maul, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. As much as a Sith can help anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And then Boba said he wants to learn to ride the Rancor, and that he's rode something 10 times the size, which is a throwback to the holiday special where he rides this crazy dinosaur looking motherfucking thing, which kind of makes the holiday special canon.
Yeah. What is the dinosaurs on Mandalore called? I forget. It's like I'll look it up, but they reference them. Like they even reference it in Mando when Jin is talking to Queel. He's like, your ancestors used to ride the. I'll have to look up the name.
Oh yeah. What? Yeah, that's a different one.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Mythosaur is what I was thinking of. Oh my god, I'm looking at pictures of this and it's so sick. It's a T-Rex with fucking tusks.
The blurg is what Mando rides in the first season. That Nick character, the I Have Spoken character.
Yeah, so like he's like talking to him, but like when he's learning how to ride the blurg, he's like, your ancestors rode the mythosaur. Like, are you going to be defeated by this blurg? And the mythosaur is basically a T-Rex with like boar's hair on its chin and then tusks. It's like a T-Rex and a boar combined. It's wild.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. It's dope. I love that they said Dathomir. That's the coolest thing to me ever.
Oh, dude, yes. And now, I really...
Now we get to where the episode... Oh, no, you go. You go.
I was just going to say, like, I really liked... They went into the Rancor... Like, they gave a lot of backstory to the Rancor. Like, for the longest time, we've always thought Rancors were just, like, this mindless beast that is to be kept in, Jabba's pit. But, Danny Trejo elaborates. He's like, these are peaceful creatures unless they're threatened. You already touched on it imprinting on the first human it sees. Shout out Twilight. And then
yes.
And yeah, but the biggest takeaway from this scene for me was Boba's like, I would like to ride this thing, and
dude, he's gonna be riding it by the finale. 1,000%.
Yeah. Agreed. And one thing that I really have loved about like Boba in this show is, have you noticed like how good he is to animals? Like he has this like natural connection with every animal that he interacts with, including the bantha, going back even further to some of like the what was it, the Kath hound or whatever.
The weird dog reptile thing.
Yeah, and like he just has this like natural ability to connect with these animals, and I think that's a really cool aspect to his character that is like new to canon now, and like every time he interacts with them, I'm like appreciative of it. I'm like, this is cool.
It's super cool. There was this article came out that painted Boba as this like spineless, soft motherfucker or something, which I don't agree with. Just because he wants to rule with respect and he's showing some people mercy, I feel like that's smarter in the long run rather than ruling like a tyrant. If we've gone through anything of history, people that run as tyrants are overthrown.
Yeah.
So it's like
he's also got years of experience behind him. He's done the ruthless, cutthroat, bloodthirsty bounty hunter thing. He knows that life.
Yeah,
exactly. And same with Fennec Shand. Like, do you think Fennec Shand would be allied with him if she thought that he was not going to be the guy? Because she's smart and ruthless as well, and she's his right hand man at this point, or right hand woman. And so, like, I push back on that because I think that being smart does not mean that you're spineless. Like him not being a bloodthirsty idiot does not make me dislike him or question where the show is going in terms of like his character.
Yeah, and like I said, this shit is Sopranos in space. He's being a smart leader of the family.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go out and massacre everyone. You know, like that's how shit works. It's not going to work out very well if you do that shit.
He's not a murder hobo.
Definitely not. Definitely. So this is where the episode kind of lost me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So they go to visit the mayor's major domo, and he bails out. And then there is the slowest and lamest chase scene of probably all time, especially after getting the train scene of last episode. That was fucking sick.
Yeah.
This sequence is so slow. Obviously, there's a lot of kind of cool Easter eggs within it, but it's just, I don't know. I just was not a fan.
The stakes of this chase are really low, and it feels like you said, like slowed down. I mean, we went from like high speed train heist to this. It just feels lesser.
And it looked kind of cheap, you know?
Yeah, agreed. And I so in my notes for this episode, to bring in the mayor, I said, Mayor's back on his bullshit with a 20-day wait to meet. Boba's like, nah, I'm coming in. Then he flees. Dank Ferrick. God, I love Star Wars curse words.
Star Wars curse words are very dope.
Yep.
100%. Because I think they could have just done without the chase scene and then just caught him in like a run scene. Because it's you know, I do like when the chase scene ended. So he crashes into these fruit, which is Malorian fruit or Malorian, one of the two. But you see those in Rebels, which I think this is the first time we saw him in live action, which that's a cool nod.
Yeah.
But when Boba arrives in the jetpack, that was dope. I was like, yo, that was sick.
Yes,
agreed. I was like, that was dope.
I think everyone that I've talked to about this episode has said like that chase scene felt weird.
Yeah, it felt so like it felt weirdly cheap, even though it looked good because the mopeds look like really nice, but it just like looked so cheap. That's the only way I can explain it. It was so out of place and did not fit with the rest of the episode. That was kind of slow and methodical. I mean, this chase scene was slow, but not.
It fit too well. No, yeah. I felt the same way. Like I didn't understand. Like part of it too is the stakes were not there because like this is the mayor's assistant and this guy is not a killer. So all he's doing is running. Yeah. And then the chase scene took up 4 minutes of this show, and it's only a 40-minute episode. So like that's a significant amount of time to allocate to chasing down a guy who's not going to shoot back or do anything dangerous to anybody outside of run.
Exactly. And basically they confront him, and he's like, "The mayor's working for the Pikes," and he just gives up the info anyway. Again, another misdirection for Boba. You know, it's like he thought the Hutts were the big threat. Now he's like up back onto the Pikes, and he gets some retcon work, hearing that more Pikes are arriving in Tatooine, and pretty much Fennec's like, we got to prepare for war, bro, and he's like, we'll be ready, which leads me to think, again, I don't think the Pikes are the absolute big bad of this. I do think they're probably working for the Crimson Dawn or something like that, but I wonder if Boba will call in Mando to help in this so-called war.
Dude, if we get a Mando cameo, I'll be so hype.
Did you know if Mando comes into the show, everyone's gonna be like, "Yes, Boba fucking rules."
Yeah, exactly. Put Mando on one of those nice speeders.
Oh yeah, you know he can kill that shit, dude. So I'm wondering. I'm interested to see how this war goes out because I think the action is going to be dope. But obviously, numbers are not on Boba's side right now. So I'm wondering if he calls in some help. Like, do we see Cad Bane coming in and helping him or something? That'd be fucking crazy,
dude.
You know, it's like, do we get Mando to come in and help? Like,
I mean, hell, even if we get Cad Bane on the other side with the pikes,
I mean,
I'm cool with
that would also be dope too. Like,
yeah, that would be awesome.
I just want to see Cad Bane.
Please give us Cad Bane.
Please, for the love of God, please. And well, I think it's one episode Dave Filoni is directing, and those episodes are usually famous for him putting in characters that he created, which he did create Cad Bane, so we'll see.
I mean,
I would be stoked.
Yeah, I think that's going to be like the conclusion of this season is that war. If not the finale, the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested to see how it plays out because, like, obviously we got to get from point A to point B. So, like, what is the rest of the season going to look like?
Right, yeah. I have no idea.
And we're not going to get any more flashbacks of the Tuskens because they've been wiped out.
Unless it is something where it's like he's going to find out the remaining members or something. Because maybe we see the badass female and the grown-up, or, well, not grown-up, but more adult version of the kid helping fight. Because maybe he did find another Tusken tribe, and they're going to help him fight the Pikes, maybe. I don't know.
It would be so sick if Boba gets, like, in modern day, he gets the adult child Tusken, and that's, like, a part of his, like, goon squad. Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so Dave Filoni did chapter 6 of Boba Fett, so the 6th episode, and I think there's only 7. So he's doing the penultimate episode, which is usually a pretty big deal. Yeah.
We're good. I would be willing to bet that's probably the war, or at least the first half of it.
Yeah, like the last two episodes are like a big movie, which Filoni does like to do with his stuff, which would make sense. But yeah, I like I said, there was things in this episode I didn't like, but overall there was a lot of cool shit in it. It just felt like a little discombobulated, you know. But I'm still amped on the show. I think it's fucking great.
I think that this one does a lot to move the story forward, but it's not as actiony and it doesn't have as much. I don't know. We're not seeing as many cool things in this episode, but like we got the Rancor, we got the Tuskens wiped out, we got the Street Gang, which is clearly going to play a big part. Like, you know, like it or not, the Street Gang is the reason why Boba's not dead.
Yeah, very true. I mean, and we got that Black Krrsantan.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was just a taste of him.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see more of him just going ham. I want to see that. I want to see that bowcaster put to work.
Yeah. I want to see more of those fucking brass knucks. Shit was wild, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, normal thing. I mean, this episode we were a little more down on. It was just certain moments that felt weird. But overall still positive on the show, I would say.
Oh, most definitely. Like out of 5, I would give this like a 2. However, I think that like as the show goes on, this episode's going to carry a lot more weight, which
it might get elevated by future episodes. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 2.5 out of 3. It's just that chase scene really took me out of it. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, like I stayed up till 3 a.m. to watch this because I was like, I swear to God, if someone spoils anything of this show, I'm going to murder. I'm gonna go Anakin on the Tuskens.
Am I delirious?
Literally, I finished it and I was like, maybe I'm just tired. No, I wasn't just tired. I was tired, but that was not my hesitation.
All right, man. That's it for this one. We'll get out of here. We'll be back next week. Actually, next week's going to be 2 episodes of the podcast for me because I will be doing my episode of Destroy the Seven.
Yes.
Black Manta. So there will be 2 episodes that might come out in the same day. I don't really know how I'm going to promote that, but whatever. We'll see how it goes.
That's going to be sick. I love Black Manta. I'm really excited to hear you break him down.
Yeah, I'm very, very stoked to dive even deeper into Black Manta and to see more of him this year later on.
I see what you did there, Sean. Little pun.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how it is. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Until next time. See you later, nerds.